हम भी बना लेंगे. That is not a statement. That is our attitude. कल होना हो देखिए आपने, तो उसमें एक डायलॉग होता है, हंसो जियो जियो मुस्कुराओ, क्या पता कल होना हो.
I was just thinking, what is it that we can have a conversation on which is not there on social? Because the topic was learning from D2C. But today I want to ask him things which we've not heard from him and which we would love to understand. That what has these last 1 or 2 years meant for you?
So life has changed a lot in last 2-3 years. Professionally, personally, things are not the same. In our company, it has touchwood grown well. We've tried to make it more professionally run. In terms of my life also, with Shark Tank, things aren't the same anymore, right? I would be lying if I say I don't like it, right? I love it, to be frank. And there was one time when I started, some people crib about it. अरे यार बहुत मुश्किल है. I don't like this limelight. I don't like this. So I was talking to बादशाह ने बोला तो एक काम कर, अगली बार मत जा फिर ऐसे करने के लिए, so सब कुछ खत्म हो जाएगा. तो फिर एकदम से realize किया नहीं यार मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है, मुझे जाना है. So it's been a good roller coaster ride, and God has been kind.
Mentally क्या कुछ बदलता है in terms of as an entrepreneur, are you processing things differently? Are you doing things differently? Because जहाँ पे है उससे मुझे लगता है, because of the attention and so much of attention, there also comes a little bit of एक डर.
No, that's a good question, and we've seen how unfortunately, Ashneer's case was also one of the victims of being famous is also there. That if he had not been on Shark Tank, his case would not have got so much popularity. He would not have got so much media attention, right? It is both sides, and I am for sure, I can feel it that someday, and every day I'm worried about it, that someday I might, in fact, when there are so many cameras around me right now, right? There are mics around me. Someday, somewhere, and I have Arun, my PR guy, और मैं ना बड़ा मुंहफट टाइप का बंदा हूँ, तो मुझे भी डर लगता है कभी कभी मैं कुछ ऐसा ना बोल दूँ, ठीक है, जो फिर बॉम्बार्ड हो जाएगा, राइट? और इंटेंशन कोई भी हो, वो क्लिपिंग कहीं से आके कुछ डाल देंगे, तो ये यार वो फटती है, कोई अच्छे वर्ड में क्या बोलेंगे? There is always that fear that something can happen. It has happened. We have live cases of people, जो मैं कल किससे मिला, बाइजूस वालों से मिला. So I was with Divya, right? At Ashish's event, philanthropy event. तो मैं दिव्या से बोल रहा था that what I can learn from Byju's. It's only media who made them the stars of this world, right? That Byju's is the killer and the next big thing, higher valuation than this company, that company, and putting together all. So they made them the heroes, right? Look at Paytm, look at Zomato. We all are part of the same ecosystem. We will be made heroes. Today, I might be made a hero for some reason in D2C or whatever, but there might be some time, anything small happens will also be exaggerated to that level, right? It will happen, and I am very scared. I am paranoid about it. But, I'm getting ready that there might be, and I hope I don't do that. And that also makes me even more aware of always doing the right things. Of always, in fact, I've become more scared than what I was before, right? So it is me. It is true that, I have to be careful.
Everyone says that you are their favorite shark and you are the most loved shark. I think it's also a responsibility to be loved, and it also comes from a place of authenticity, because कहीं ना कहीं आप जो real हैं, and there is this एक होता ना entrepreneur के लिए जो genuine feeling है वो आता है. I want you to tell us today that the process, when you have become a unicorn, you are the second most valuable wearable brand in the world. ये सब जब होता है लाइफ में तो अपने आप को प्रोसेस क्या है जब आदमी एंकर करके रखता है, सेंटर्ड रहता है.
When you said favorite shark and all that, I'll tell you a small story on this, right? So when Anupam and I were together somewhere, and I said, यार मुझे मेल आई है. मैं ना उनको थोड़ा सा ना मेरे अंदर वो दिल्ली वो क्या बोलते हैं उसको थोड़ा चलो यार एक तो नहीं समझ आ रहा फिर से वही राइट वर्ड्स नहीं याद आ रहे बट अनुपम और मैं खड़े थे ठीक है तो अनुपम को मेरे पास एक मेल आई ठीक है एक कॉलेज से उसमें लिखा था हाय अमन you are my favorite shark and we would like to invite you to this college and you are amazing and please do this तो अनुपम को मैंने दिखाया मैंने देख मैं हूँ फेवरेट राइट तो उसको कहा अबे रुक जा इससे सेम मेल मुझे कल आई है इसी का so there is nothing like that. I would say that it depends on who is there at what time, right? So whenever I'm feeling super high, like I remember Shah Rukh Khan used to say that he feels very high, he goes to the US to ensure that he's brought to the ground, right? मैं ऑफिस चले जाता हूँ तो ऑफिस there are we work with a lot of young guys, right? Our average age is 24, 25, right? So these guys are very different. And when you go to your, वो कहते हैं ना घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर types, right? या ऑफिस चले जाऊँ या फिर मैं घर चले जाऊँ, मैं मेरी वाइफ हो या मेरे पेरेंट्स हो, तो I keep telling them, and in fact I tell that to my friends also and people who love me, कि जहाँ तुम्हें थोड़ा सा लगे, although मेरे अंदर नहीं आया, but you never know because people say that people change, right? And people now judge me even before I have not changed, right? मेरे को अगर मैं किसी का पहले मैं वैसे ही फ़ोन नहीं उठाता, ठीक है, नहीं उठाता, नॉर्मली नहीं उठाता क्योंकि मेरे को इरिटेशन होती है इतने फ़ोन देख के, तो मैं साइलेंट करके उल्टा करके रखता हूँ नॉर्मली कि ना उठाऊँ. लेकिन अब अगर मैं किसी का फ़ोन ना उठाऊँ तो पहली चीज़ आती है वो बड़ा आदमी बन गया. अगर मैं अब किसी का फ़ोन ना उठाऊँ तो अरे देखा तू बदल रहा है, राइट, तू एरोगेंट हो रहा है. तो अब तो मेरे को पहले ही आई हैव टू प्रूव to the other person that I am the same old me before I can start answering the question, right? And frankly speaking, I met a private banker who came to me and said, मैंने बोला सर इसको, and मैं लोगों से पूछता रहता हूँ, मैं सीखता रहता हूँ, right? I meet somebody, I can learn anything from anyone, I love it. So I was just asking him कि सर ये बताओ आप तो इतने सारे लोगों को मिलते हो, इतने बड़े लोगों को मिलते हो, इस चीज़ को मैं कैसे संभालूँ कि अब लोगों को अगर मैं जेन्युइनली नहीं आ सकता फिर भी लोग मुझे जज करते हैं, कहते तू कुछ भी कर ले लोग तुझे जज करेंगे, राइट? अगर तू बोलेगा ना कि अरे मैं सेम हूँ मैं नहीं बदला, फिर भी वो तेरे को उस आंखों से देखेंगे और वेट करेंगे उस लाइन की जो तूने बोल दी गलती से, और बोलेंगे देख मैं कह रहा था ना जज कर रहा है, ठीक है? तो अब कोई बोलता है ना तू बड़ा आदमी हो गया, बोलता हूँ हाँ हो गया हूँ, क्या कर लेगा, अब हूँ तो हूँ, राइट? सो आई स्टार्टेड, if people push me too much on that side, I said, yeah, I am like this. I have changed. Think whatever, because I can't help, I can't change your thinking towards me. If people who know me from before Shark Tank, after Shark Tank, I have been like this, and I don't want to change. And if anybody who care about me, people around me, I tell them that if you see a iota of change happening in me, please stop me and guide me. Right, so I take advice from people who love me rather than, the whole world.
One of the things that Boat has done very successfully, if I may say so, as an outsider, that they launched in 2016, and what we've read is that they got a professional CEO, and you got someone from Godrej, and now who's the chairman, and your co-founder is now the CEO. So there's been some transitioning, some changes, but the decision to get a professional CEO was there very early on, where we in India, in the Indian entrepreneurship ecosystem, are still judged कि founders want to remain in the hot operating seat. Can you take us through that?
So I'll take you to the first decision before the second decision, right? So entrepreneurs, yes, I have seen a lot of entrepreneurs who say that they want to do everything, right? They want to run the show, they want to run the ship. But it's not something which Samir and I actually, we love doing what we do. And if you look at our brand tagline also, it's called "Do what floats your boat." And this is something which I have believed in my life, right? I was a chartered accountant. I am a chartered accountant, but I hate finance as a subject. I can't, I feel like that I can't, I don't get it. I did it just because, my dad wanted me to be a CA. So वो खुद नहीं बन पाए तो उन्होंने बोला मेरा बेटे को मैं CA बनाऊंगा, राइट? क्योंकि मेरे ताऊजी, दादा, चाचा सब CA थे. तो पापा ने बोला नहीं नहीं तू कर. मैं पढ़ता रहता था और मैं पढ़ लिया, CA करी और मैंने डैड को बोला मुझे नहीं करनी CA, right? So I gave it, and that was the last time I actually thought I'll do anything in finance. So I have done in my life what I love doing, right? I love gadgets. So I started a company out of gadgets. And when we were starting off, in this, I used to meet a lot of VCs, right? VCs are supposed to be know-it-all group, right? That they are the best. They know everything, right? And they had written off even before we started, right? I used to go to VCs and they used to say कि, यहाँ पे ना मेरे हाथ में लगा हुआ था मेरा बाप माइक्रोमैक्स है, राइट? सो आई वॉज रिटन ऑफ बिफोर आई वॉज बॉर्न कि तुम लोगों का कुछ नहीं होगा, तुम्हारा जैसे हार्डवेयर में इंडिया में कुछ नहीं होता. हमें ब्रांड भी हमें बोलते थे तुम लोग ऑनलाइन ब्रांड हो, राइट? एक लेवल के बाद नहीं बढ़ पाओगे. हमें पहले और D2C तो ये नया वर्ड है जो ये सेशन है ना, D2C. D2C कुछ नहीं होता था. D2C आई ऑलवेज से दिस, D2C बसेस होती थी दिल्ली में, करेक्ट? Suddenly D2C is now D2C, right? Industry, it is getting an industry term. It was nothing. It was online brand. फिर हम गए थोड़ा सा सेल करते थे, कहते थे अरे तुम तो Amazon में बेचते हो. फिर हमने नहीं हम और भी बेचते हैं. तो हमने Flipkart में बेचना शुरू किया. फिर नहीं तुम ये ऑनलाइन में बेचते हो. फिर हमने ऑफलाइन बेचना शुरू किया. कहते नहीं तुम ऑडियो बेच पाओ. फिर हमने वेरेबल किया. तो ये सब ज्ञान बांटते थे हमारे को जब हम जाते थे लोग, राइट? सो फॉर अस वी डिड व्हाट वी फेल्ट वाज राइट. What we were not in a sexy industry. We were not in the fintech or the, deep techs or the food techs or the med techs or the tech techs. We were not there. We were in a normal industry which was brand, hardware driven, with good technology being used, but not a tech company as such. So we were written off. We were, but we did what we like to do. And as a personality, I personally feel that people should do what they like doing and they'll do well. I am the CMO of the company, right? And I love marketing. I love talking to customers. I love sales. And I'm doing what I'm loving to do. And it doesn't look like work for me, right? We never thought कि अब इतनी बड़ी हो गई कंपनी कि हमने बोला बस हमारे बस की नहीं है. Let's get a professional team who can run a full company, who can do what they know to do, how to do best. And that is the decision which we made. But now, Vivek also wants to move on to different things. He wants to, he's now still relevant as the chairman of the board. We wanted to do an IPO and we've withdrawn the IPO papers also, because of the turbulent times. So it's not that we are not looking. We will still, maybe 6 months, maybe 9 months, we'll find another good candidate. The company is now very professional. We've learned a lot. We've got professional people managing it. And if there is a good candidate we find, we are still, Samir and I are ready, ki, why don't you take over and let us, we can do what we love doing. So.
What comes to your mind when you think of money?
My wife used to manifest and she calls me money, that's my pet name, right? So she kept calling me money, and touch wood, God has been kind with money. So I've asked her to call me double money nowadays, right? Bahut sara money or something.
What's your favorite D2C brand?
Besides boat, I'll use one of my portfolio companies only, that it helps. Wow Cosmetics.
Wow
Manish's friend. Manish is a friend, yeah, maybe that.
Your biggest entrepreneurial mistake that you'd like to share?
I think we did not make the back end, we were not ready for growth. So we grew too fast than what we could chew. Normally what happens is people anticipate higher growth, they make big fat companies, and then the growth doesn't come, right? No, I'm not taking any names. So for us, we did not make the company as big as the growth happened. And then we realized that boss, itna kuch hai karne ko ki, there are no people in the company. So we should have hired better before. We should have made the company, maybe it would have been for less profitability. I don't know whether it is good or bad to say that we were we were too more focused on profitability, which is good, but it was in hindsight also bad, that we should have focused a bit on building systems and structures and then grew, because then the back end would have been able to take the growth. So that's one of the mistakes, I would say.
If you had to say from your journey, what has leadership meant to you? Matlab, you've lived the
Leadership
journey.
for me is, I would say, lead by example. And if there are so many people you give positions to, but people don't like them, people don't follow them. So I think it is, I would say, inborn. And if you are a leader, you will have people following you. So in my company also, we don't like designations, right? And although we have to do it because we have to be growing and all that, but designation wise मुझे अच्छा लगता है. And I've seen people who automatically start leading a group of people. So I think leadership is inborn, and by example is better than by ज्ञान.
How do you define happiness for you?
एक वो कल होना हो देखिए आपने,
हाँ.
तो उसमें एक डायलॉग होता है, वो लास्ट वो बोलता है, शाहरुख खान बोलता है, हंसो जियो मुस्कुराओ क्या पता कल हो ना हो.
Yeah,
सुना है?
yeah.
So I believe in that. You never know what can happen tomorrow. Just have fun, enjoy life. Don't be too serious. Don't take yourself too seriously. Just stay happy.
And one thing which most entrepreneurs and all of us professionally don't do, I want to ask you, you look fitter, all your photo London mein khichwa, Twitter pe dekh rahi hu, very good photos. What do you do for your fitness? What do you do?
I don't breathe when I'm taking pictures, right? I suck it in like full time, like किसी ने ले ली हो और बोलता 2 मिनट है जल्दी खींच. But I don't do shit about fitness. I have to do it. It's not good to say this, but I have to start wearing my boat watch seriously. Not marketing it, but yeah.
If we had to see you again next year on this stage and say that where do you see boat and where will we see boat and what are the things that we will see from boat, what would you say?
I would say for next year, we did audio very well for last 4 or 5 years, and now we are getting into wearables. We are investing a lot. This year we've invested huge in the wearable space, and that is exploding. There are this is the watch space, right? So that is exploding, and we will be focusing a lot on that as a segment. We don't want to open more areas, more segments, more categories, because it's very difficult for us, and we want to we focus only on audio last 5 years. Now we want to focus on wearables, get it right, get the team in place, and then move on to probably other things.
I also want to call out that you have done 1 million units manufactured in India, because one of the things was that exporting, and you're making that happen, make in India, and you've talked about it. So congratulations on that. And before we let you go, Aman, some things, these are questions one asks, but one thing that you'll genuinely, like each one of us to take from your journey, एक चीज जो आप जिए हैं और हम आपसे ले सकते हैं, तो वो क्या होगा?
बोलता हम भी बना लेंगे, right? And that is not a statement. That is our attitude. I'll tell you why. When we were in India, there were 200 brands in audio. We were not as I said, in an industry which was unexplored. We were in an industry which was already commoditized. There were so many players in India. There were Germans, Japanese, and we thought of a brand which people thought that, boss, you cannot make a brand in something because it's not something new. There is no, जैसे बोलते हैं ना लोग कि गैप ढूंढा और उसमें आपने नया ब्रांड बनाया, whether it's whatever it is, right? So हमारे तो already एक इंडस्ट्री थी जिसमें बना हुआ था, तो उसमें जाके अगर हम बना सकते हैं, so that is a hope with which I tell people that don't think that you cannot do it. So I always say, if I could do it, so anybody can do it, right? And that's what I started off with. If I can be here, so can any one of us be here, right? You can also be called to a TIE event. So I have done a lot to be where I am, right? I've struggled a lot, and if I couldn't do it, so can you. And secondly, this year there was a beautiful pitch. It was called Flatheads, right? And in that guy was struggling for last 10-11 years. IIT IIM guy, doing not well at all. His product was very bad. His pricing was shit. His marketing was very bad. So, and it was everything wrong in this in Flatheads, right? And I saw this guy, and I see him I see me in him, right? Because I have failed 5 times, right? And when you fail, it's unfortunately the society society doesn't accept failures as such. तो एक ना हमारा फैमिली ग्रुप है, उसका नाम है गुप्ता परिवार, ठीक है? हाँ, तो उसमें क्या होता है ना, सेलिब्रेशंस के बारे में लोग बहुत बात करते हैं, राइट? और जब कोई कर रहा होता है और जो नहीं कर रहा होता ना अच्छा, तो हम सब ना वी लुक डाउन, मतलब उसको ना कि कहाँ है आजकल, अरे कुछ काम नहीं कर रहा. जब हम मिलते भी हैं, अरे तूने वो बंद कर दिया. देयर आर दीज मासीज, चाचास, चाचीज, दे ऑल जज यू, राइट? The whole world judges you if you're failing. And as entrepreneurs, you will fail, and it's good to fail. But I have failed, and I like to celebrate my failures. As I always say, you don't need 5 successes, right? You can have 100 failures, but you need 1 success. And I'm a living example of that. That try, and keep trying. You might fail, but do not stop trying and keep trying, and you will one day, hopefully, inshallah, make it.
एक चीज तो बनता है कि अच्छे से ताली बजाते हैं हम दिल्ली में. बहुत दिल से बोला, ऑथेंटिक बोला. थैंक यू सो मच.